Hello friends, this is Ganesh. Hope you're doing great. In this video, we are going to see about object-oriented ALV with the help of factory method. So when we had go with this factory method, because we have another option, just make container and make use of the class and object-oriented class and methods to display the ALV. So the factory method is you have a requirement to display the business data in the ALV format. So nothing much. So you don't want to provide an edit option, and there is no data manipulation is going to happen on ALV. So in that case, you prefer factory method. But still, factory method. So the question is, can I able to edit? Can I able to enable the ALV field or a cell to be editable? So directly the answer is no in the factory method, but there are some workarounds. But the recommendation is don't try to keep the edit option in the factory method because SAP is not support that option. So if there is any change in the coming versions or coming support package, that might affect your custom development. So you have a ALV requirement, there is no edit option, but I want other options like I want to display the standard buttons. I need a heading. I want a button. I want an interactive ALV. So those information. So whatever you need, you can prefer factory method. Okay. So that is the idea of factory method. Okay. So let's get into the slides first. So factory method is one of the design patterns. So if you are aware of in object-oriented ALV, we have, I'm not sure, it's going to be 10 or 11 design patterns. So I have made a video about 3 design patterns. So probably this is the 4th one. So if time permits, I'll make one of the video very detailed about factory method as well. So the factory method is kind of a static method. It creates and returns the reference objects. So very understanding us. Once you create an object variable, so you have to use data variable type ref to class name, and create object is a statement which gives the reference parameter or a reference of the object. But in factory method, there is a static method. It creates a reference and send it to your reference variable. So that is the design of the factory method. Okay. So the code creation of the object is contained within the factory method itself. So that is the basic design of your factory method. So this we can see more, but we don't want know much about this to make an ALV with the help of factory method. This is just a definition of the factory method. And this is my internal table, and I want to make an ALV format with the help of factory method. So the base class of the factory method is CLSALV underscore table. Okay. So these are very simple here. Everything is to know here is nothing but which class and which method is going to be helpful to make a function, to make a sort, to make enable some basic variables and headings. I want to optimize my columns. So everything you have to know what is a class name and what is a method name for that. So each one you need a object reference variable, and that needs to be a reference to be created from the base class of your factory method. So here, this is the primary method I consider which queues or which displays the ALV format of your data. So there are some parameters. So this is optional. If you are a list display or grid display, like in a like non-object oriented ALV, you have two function models, grid or list, the same thing. So if you want a list or grid, so if you keep this as empty or this is optional, so you can leave it. What happens is by default you'll get a grid. Otherwise you'll get a list. And the reference, this is the object ALV which gives the reference. So this is actually a importing parameter. This is an exporting parameter. It gives the reference of your object. This method gives the reference of your object. And then this is a table. So what is the data you want that needs to be displayed here? So this is fine. And this class and method is enough to transfer the data from internal table to ALV, but to display this, we need one more method. So to access the method, we want this reference variable of this particular factoring method. So that method is nothing but display. So if you want to display the ALV, the particular object reference variable, and you have to use display. So make sure this is the last line of your program, meaning if you want to add something else, I want to add some headings, I want to add some buttons, then keep everything before this line, and finally you have to display your ALV along with that particular custom additions. Okay, so this will, what happens is it simply display the ALV without any standard buttons or nothing. Okay, excuse me. So the next one is, okay, other two parameters also used in the same method. Those are again optional. Suppose I want to display the ALV in a container. There is some requirement. I want to display in a container. Same like how we display ALV with a container option. So same thing can be used in the same factory method. For the two parameters are to be used. One is a reference. This gives the container reference. Obviously, you need the reference of your container also, right? Because that is a different class. So that is coming under this parameter. Another one, container name. What is a container name? Normally, if you go to AC51 layout option, you design a container, we have to give a container or C1, that one, right? So that name to be added here. Then what happens after you run the program, this ALV is displayed in a container way. Okay. So there are options in factory method to display your ALV in a container also. The next one is relevant class and methods for various ALV activities. So here, with the previous code, we are able to display the ALV, display the data in ALV format. So without any additional options, like there is no standard function, standard function buttons like sort and filter. Those things are not available with the previous code. So to do that, we need a different class and methods. Same thing to be followed for any options to be enabled in your ALV, in your factory method ALV. Okay. So now we have, this is a pattern actually. So if you want to add any additional options, like I need a heading, I need a functions, I need a button, I want to display a checkbox, whatever it is, you need a reference variable that to be defined or declared for a particular class, and that variable to be filled with a reference, and after that call the method whichever is relevant for your requirement. So that is the way which we are going to do for whatever you want to add additionally to your basic ALV display. Okay. So for that, I'm going to have a reference type ref to the particular class name. This is not for ALV table. So we have a different classes for different functionalities. And then that variable to be filled with a reference with the help of a relevant method. That is a relevant method in the base class. So that method give a reference for your variable. Okay. So once you get a reference, then you can access the method or call the method for your functionality. So for example, the first one is I want to enable the functions in my ALV, the basic functions of ALV, sort, filter, and then the summation, those things. So for that, I have to refer a class called CLSALV functions. So that is the class. So I have to create an object reference variable for that class and get the reference with the help of a function called, with the help of a method called get functions. So that is coming under the base class. So once you get the reference, you have to call a method called set all and ABAP true. So you can give just X or ABAP true, whatever it is. Basically, you need an X value for that particular method as a parameter. Once you're done, you will get all the buttons. It's enabled for your ALV. Okay, so this is a class for that, and this is a method. Next one is display settings. So I want to perform some display settings. Though for that, what you have to do is you need to get a reference from this class, a reference variable from this class, SALV display settings. So most of the class, if you want to know, just search like CL SALV star, and you will get most all the relevant classes under this factory method. So here you get the reference of this particular variable using the method called get display settings, then you get a reference of it. Okay. Once you get a reference, if you want to add a heading, use this. Suppose if you want a stripped pattern, like we call a zebra in ALV. So if you want that to be enabled, then use this particular method. Okay. And the next one is layout. Suppose I want to enable the layout option, but the functions, whatever you enable that doesn't have a layout by default, you have to use a different class to enable the layout options. Create layout, change layout, save layout, and everything. And the class is SALV layout. So get layout is the method which gives a reference for your variable. Once you're done, you have to set the key and you have to use restrict none. Like set save restrictions. If you want any save restrictions of your layout, if that, then you have to use false. But here I'm giving restrict none. So what happens? It disable all the change layout options and save layout option in my. Then what is the next? Selections. So this is pretty simple. Suppose I want to enable selections, multiple selections of my ALV data. So I want to select all the three records. By default, it select only one row at a time. If you want to select more than one, then you have to use this class. This is a class and this is the method to get the reference. And you have to say what are the selection mode you want. So row level I want to select or a cell level you want to select. Mostly we go the row level, but still the selection mode has some option called multiple, cell, single, none. So single and none is nothing but almost same. You can't select anything. So only one you can be able to select. But multiple, you can select multiple, like multiple rows. If you want to select, go with the multiple options. So this one, a row column or multiple options or cell. You want to select a multiple cell, then yes, you have to go with the cell option also. This is very rare, but still they provided an option. We can just play around with that. And okay, this is pretty much we needed like column level. I want to make some changes, like I want to make an icon, I want to make a checkbox or symbols. So those informations are going to be those informations are going to be used or just enabled with the help of these two classes. Okay, there are just a difference is S. Okay, so I need a two different object reference variable. So one is for column. So if you want to apply a change for the entire all the columns, then you have to use this class ALV columns table. But I want to enable some options to the particular column, then you have to use SALV underscore column table. So that is only S is the difference between these two classes. Okay, and yeah, what is the need of checkboxes if it is not editable? So sometimes the requirement is I want a checkbox in a display format, but the value to be enabled means checked or not depends on the business requirement. If that is the case, you have to provide the checkbox also. So these are the options available in the factory method. Just explore it. Okay, but the base rule is if you want to edit, there is a workaround, but don't do the edit option in the factory method. So we have a lot of other options to make your ALV editable. Okay. So here, this is the way we have to use object ALV, get columns and set optimize. So this reference and this class is going to be applied. The change is going to apply for the entire cells, entire columns. So I'm going to optimize all the columns with the help of this method. And I want to give I want to make some changes in the column level. Then you want to get the reference, new reference. So what you can do is you can use a casting option. Just get the reference of your the previous object, okay, and get the column first. Get the column name, which column you are going to make a change. So particular column I want to give a checkbox. Particular column I want to give a icon. Those things, okay. So first get the column reference. Um, Here, yes. So get the column, for example, icon. Make sure these columns are part of your internal table fields. That is very important. So if you want to make an icon, yes, I have a icon field checkbox. I have a checkbox field in my internal table. This is the basic rule of ALV internal table. So get the reference of your column, and then you can do whatever you want. So I want to set an icon for this column. So the method is set icon, and I want to provide a text for the column is set long text and then icon. What happens is it will display the icon, whatever icon you are displaying it, that will display in your particular column. So yeah, I think some of the code is missing here. Okay, let me cover it. What icon you want? So that needs to be added, right? So that is coming under in your ALV, the field catalog ALV. So field catalog ALV, what is the value of this column? There you have to provide your icon name. So that is missing here, but in the field catalog level, we have to provide the value of it. Okay. Then, checkbox. I want to enable the checkbox. So here you have to say CB is the one of the field in the internal table. So get the reference of it, and then the cell type is going to be the checkbox, and long text I'm going to say checkbox. Whatever name you want, you can provide it. Another one is okay. If you want to understand entire functionality of the factoring method, the best way is there is a standard program called SALV demo table columns. So this program has everything about factoring method with the proper descriptions. Very easy understanding. So if you want to play around with more options in factoring method, depends on your requirement. Please verify this program. You will get a lot of things. Okay, and then. Yeah, so I'm completing the factory method here. Probably will come with one more video about some other options in the factory method as well. Okay, so let's get into the system. So this is my system. So here I just created a few lines of code which gets the data from Mara. Unfortunately, I don't have much data in production or purchase order informations in the system. Probably they refresh the data. They have very few, 2 or 3 data only. I found at least 17 data in Mara table, so I prefer to go with Mara for this example. So this is very basic structure which has 2 fields to hold the icon and checkbox, and then internal table, and the table is filled with Mara. Okay. So now I'm going to create the reference variable, start creating a reference variable. So the first I need the very base reference variable which gives the reference for all other functionalities. So type ref2 cl salv underscore control spacebar. You'll get this much classes are available. So for the beginning I need salv table. And then this object reference to be filled with a reference. So for that, I'm going to use a method called factory. So that is nothing but go here, clsalv underscore table. Then so the table, sorry, the class and the method. So the method is factory method. Yeah, this is the one. There's a base to get the reference of my variable. So here I'm going to use this reference. Still it is optional. So if you want to make use of the variable for with some other method, then required, otherwise not. And this is a mandatory. You have to pass the data. So that's it. I'm not going to use much of parameters here. And one more I'm going to use is display. Then only you will be able to. Then only it will display. Very simple. This is nothing but your first display. That is one class, right? So the same way. So display is the method. Okay. Activate it. Very good. Okay, that is the spelling. So here, activate it and execute it. Okay, the exception is not good. It's fine. So this is the way it displays. and it displays in the full screen because we are not using the container option. Okay, and if you notice, there is no standard buttons, no headings, nothing is there because we use just a very base to display the data from an internal table to a ALV format. So if you want those things, additionally, you have to create an object reference. That is a pattern. Create a reference for a particular class and get the reference using the one of the method in the base class. After that, just call the method whichever is required for your own requirement. So now go back, and if you enable few parameters, suppose I want to display as a list. So now it's a true or false. Now it's false, default, and make it true, or just pass X. That also works better. And activate it. So now I want to display the ALV in the list format. Activate and execute. So this display in the list format. Still you don't find the functions now. So now I'm going to, okay, one more. Before going to other functions, suppose if you want to display this in a container way. So now what I have to do is, let me create a screen first. I have a little doubt in rental systems, especially the layouts. Let's see if the layout works fine, then I will do what? If not, then it's an issue. Let's see. Yes, this is always an issue. Okay. There is an issue in layout option. So what I can do is create a layout and the class for that container class, create a reference for it and pass the container name and reference here. Pass the reference object reference, it will give the reference and then container name. What happens is after that, if you do display, your output displays in the container. So in a factory method also you're able to have a container option. Okay, so that's it. And then try catch is always better to enable it for a easy way to see the code. I'm not using here. Okay, so now I'm going to have a function. So let's have a object reference for the function. So here I need an object reference for function. Type ref to SALV functions is the class. Okay, and this object reference here, get the reference first. So before display, I have to get it and enable it. Excuse me. It's equal to the base reference is ALV. Get functions. So here it is. So this method gives the reference to this variable, object reference variable. So now you can use any of the method. So I'm going to use set all. I want all the functions to be enabled. So X. So this gives the basic, this one, the buttons which we are seeing. So the standard ALV buttons is enabled with the help of this method. Let's see. So here you'll get it. This details, sorting, filter, summation, and everything is available. The next is display. I'm going to make a heading and the line the different format. So for that, let me have this as false. I prefer to go with grid, and I need a reference variable for display. Ref to CLSALV display settings, and this needs to be filled with a reference. So there is a separate function to get a reference for it. So make sure that is always before the display statement. Object display equal to the base reference variable get display settings. Okay, so this gives a reference of the method of the reference variable to the reference variable. Then I'm going to use set method set list header. So list header is, I can say, factory ALV. So just simple. And the one more is you can add the relevant one. This set striped pattern. Add toward it and execute it. So you'll have the headings here, factory ALV, and this is a different. This design is a little different based on your version. So other versions you will get headings here, but in the current in this rental system version, so you'll get the headings here, factory ALV. Okay, so you can see before that it comes. What is the attribute? The attribute we given the factory method, right? So you disable this, you can see whatever the text of the program, whatever the title of the program. So the factory method. So it depends on the design, like the version it displays here. Otherwise, you will get a headings here itself, ALV itself. Okay, that's fine. So factory ALV heading enabled. So the next we are going to see about icon on checkbox. So remaining, so here it gives factory ALV. So the remaining functions you can just play around and go to that particular program. I'll show you the program at the end. So how they design it is very useful. So now I'm going to use for icon. So for that I'm going to have one object variable for columns type to CLSALV columns table. Okay, and I need one more object, that is column. So columns variable is going to be applied for all the columns, but if you want a very specific to the column, then you need a different object reference. So ALV column table. So just SS missing here, nothing much. So now I'm going to apply, get the reference, everything same like the previous one. So get the reference of your columns first. Objects, columns, equal to object ALV. So here it is gets columns is a method to get the reference, and I'm going to use the method columns set optimize is X. So it's kind of auto fit. So add toward it and execute. So you can see it depends on the content. It automatically optimizes the entire ALV table. Okay. So this is it's applying for entire column, entire columns of your ALV. Suppose if you want to apply an icon or checkbox, these are the fields for icon and checkbox, right? There is no value so far. So I'm going to have the icons and checkbox here. So for that, I have one more reference variable. So that is nothing but object columns. It's already declared. Now I need a reference. So through casting, I'm going to get it. That is under the method is coming under this class. So here get column and the column name. So column name, as I mentioned, it should be part of your internal table, data internal table. So once you receive it, I'm going to say column set icon is X. Then again object column, set long text like heading of the icon or the heading of the column, um, icon display icons. That's it. But you won't get any icon because we didn't pass which icon to be displayed. At least you will get the see the text. Yes, is enabled. The text is enabled. Now I'm going to add the icons here. So before adding icons, I'm going to have the checkbox also. So the same way we are going to enable the checkbox. So object column, and I believe the value for the checkbox field is CB. Okay, it should be capital CB, and the method is set one minute cell type. Here it is. Cell type as checkbox. So that is attribute. So if SALVC cell type, and that is checkbox. Okay, and column name also. Object column set long text. Yeah, sorry, just a call. And here I'm going to use checkbox. Just give whatever name is relevant for your need. Add to that and execute. So here you can see icon checkbox, but these are not checked. These values needs to be determined and added in the field catalog level. And as I mentioned, this is going to be if you have a need in a display format of your checkbox, please use it. Otherwise, don't. It's not required, right? So now I'm going to add the values for icons and checkbox that needs to be added in my internal table. I'm not going to add any conditions here. So I'm going to add, so the icons are same for all the line items. But if you need, you can just change based on your business requirement. So field symbols, FS, Mara. Okay. And the basic one to be included is the icons here. So include icons. So it's icon. And if you double click, so here you can see what are the icons available and what is the value here. So I can say icon positive. Let's see this. Icon positive. Get the name of your icon. Go back. And here I'm going to use FS Mara. And the field is icon equal to this. And FS Mara checkbox equal to enable. So now what happens? All the lines I'm having the same icon and checkbox is going to be X. Execute. So we'll get this. So positive, I am expecting the green one, that's fine. And all the checkboxes are enabled. So this is the way you can able to make it. I have limited records, only 17 in my system, so I'm not getting the scroll bar. Otherwise, you'll get the lengthy list. So probably just play around. Maybe two things I have to use like selections and layout. Very quickly I can finish those also. So layout has multiple selections, like sorry, selections multiple selections. And now I'm not able to select more than one record, right? So I have to use that. So for that I need a selection. I need one of the variable for that. So here obj selection type to CLSALV selections, and so I have a method called get selections. So selection equal to using a piece variable, and the method is oops, get selection and selection mode. Set last one selection mode. So that is the interface for this. So that is nothing but if salvc underscore selection mode. Yeah, selection mode, and the parameter is single, multiple, cell, none. So if it is a single, I think it doesn't make any difference with the default option. Toward it. Okay, so even if you press control, you won't get multiple. So then I'm going to change the mode as multiple. Toward it. Execute. So multiple. Now you can use the control option to select the multiple records. Okay, so this is one way. Another way is row column. That enables the checkbox. I believe. Let's see. Row column, activate it, and execute. Yes. So if you use row column, you'll get a checkbox. Again, using the control button, you're able to select multiple rows using the checkbox. Okay, and then column is very rare. We are not using it. Let's see. Not column, cell. Control space cell. Activate it. Execute. So you can select the cells. This is very rare, but still, if you want, you can make use of it. These are the options are available. So I want to select only the particular cells from this, so you're able to do that. Okay. And then cell, you have multiple as well as this options for cell. If you use the option called cell. So these are the options. It's available. Maybe one is left layout that you can try yourself layout, and then yeah, I don't want to make lengthy one. Next we'll see. I'll show you the program where we are able to see all the examples. It's ALV underscore demo underscore table columns. It's yeah, this one. Display. So this is especially demonstration tables with full screen, and then yeah. So the create ALV is they're using a CL ALV table for displaying a list of your output table. So just go through this. It's pretty simple. You get a lot of descriptions also, event, all the things over here. So these are events. This one select table. Okay, they have a table actually. I think you have to run it then to display the informations over there. So and then how they're making the information, see icons, refresh, and everything. So detailed informations are available in this program. Okay, so you can learn a lot. If you have any doubt on this SAP ALV with the factory method, just come here and have a look on it. And if you execute, so what are the things you want? List or grid, how many records you want, execute, Okay, yeah, that's it. The program is not run actually. So they mentioned clearly in the program, there is another program to run to populate the data. So here it is. If it is empty, okay, just create data using this program. Let me run it, execute. 200 records is fine. Okay, so these are the things it's got created. So now go to that program. Not this one. Okay, go to the program, execute, and execute. So you'll get an output. So if you want to color, if you want to have exceptions, but everything if you see, you have only in a display mode. Okay, and you have a hyperlink, you have a hotspot. So all the information are available. This program gives a better idea if you want anything to be achieved through factory method. So just go through this. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye.